So how did this woman get away with murder? Her name is Molly. She was born in Tennessee but lives in North Carolina. One day, Molly's online looking for nanny jobs, and she stumbles across this guy, Jason. He lives in Ireland. His wife had recently died from an asthma attack, and he needs help raising his 2 kids, Sarah and Jack. Molly's touched by his story, and she wants to help. So she applies, gets the job, and moves all the way from North Carolina to Ireland. Top of the morning to ya. Pretty quickly, Molly settles in and builds a strong bond with Sarah and Jack. Eventually, they even start calling her mum. And while all of this is happening, Molly starts spending more and more time with Jason. She'll go on family trips with them and spend more time with them after working hours. She was around a lot. It becomes clear they have feelings for each other. But Jason wants to take things slow. He's still grieving the loss of his wife, and he doesn't want his kids to get attached to someone who might not stick around. Fair enough, right? But not for Molly. Molly's like, if you're not going to take me seriously and you're going to string me along, I'm out. I'm not waiting around for you. Yeah, that was my terrible attempt of an American accent. Anyway, Jason's feeling the pressure. He really likes Molly and he doesn't want to lose her. So he gives her what she wants. And they officially start a romantic relationship. Fast forward 2 years after they met, Jason proposes to Molly. They get married in Tennessee. Then Jason, Molly and the kids, Sarah and Jack, all move to North Carolina where Molly's family lives. But 4 years into their marriage, Molly tells Jason she wants to officially adopt the kids. But Jason's not really on board with that. Why? Because allegedly, Molly had always been a bit possessive when it came to Sarah and Jack. Like, she'd make sure the kids spent more time with her than with their own dad. And if the kids showed even a little bit of affection towards their dad, she would allegedly punish them. And that seriously pissed Jason off. Especially because he was working all the time, he never really got one-on-one time with the kids. And whenever he tried, Molly always had to be there too. So yeah, that caused a lot of arguments. And their marriage starts to go downhill and Jason threatens to divorce her. And she's scared she's not going to see the kids again. So she comes up with an idea. She's going to set up recording devices all over the place. The kitchen, the bedrooms, the backyard, even the car. And she keeps recording arguments she has with Jason in hopes that if Jason ever divorces her, she can claim Jason was abusive and claim custody over the kids. And these recordings, they did portray Jason as a very argumentative person. In one specific recording, Mags is speaking to the kids and says, "Are you finished with your dinner, hun?" And Jason says, "I just want to have dinner with my family and you keep ignoring me." Molly interrupts and tells the kids, "Can you get the stuff out for the pancakes?" Then Jason gets mad and says, "You see, you're doing it again. You're ignoring me." And there were a lot of recordings like this. But here's the thing. Molly has always been seen as a liar. She once said on her wedding day that she used to be friends with Mags, Jason's late wife, before she died of cancer. She never met Mags and she didn't die of cancer. So her claims of abuse have always been questioned. On August 1st, 2015, Molly's parents were visiting and they bought gifts for Sarah and Jack. They got Sarah a tennis racket and Jack a baseball bat. But they decided to give their gifts the following morning since it was very late. So both of Molly's parents sleep in the guest bedroom in the basement and everyone gets to bed. But Molly gets woken up at 3 a.m. by Sarah because she had a nightmare. She takes Sarah back to her room and tucks her back into bed. And when Molly gets back, Jason is already awake. And apparently, he was extremely angry because he was woken up in the middle of the night. So Jason and Molly, they get into a huge fight. Allegedly, this fight woke up Molly's dad. And he's a former FBI agent. And Tom claims he went upstairs because he heard some strange noises that were concerning. So he grabs the bat he was meant to give to Jack. That's when he goes upstairs, opens Jason's and Molly's bedroom door and finds Jason's hands around Molly's neck. Allegedly. And allegedly, when Jason saw Tom, he put Molly in a chokehold and dragged her into the bathroom and threatened to kill her. And Tom begged Jason to let Molly go. But Jason refused. That's when Tom grabs the bat and goes after Jason. But apparently this didn't do anything to Jason. And Jason kept choking Molly. So Tom keeps hitting and hitting Jason over and over again until Jason lets go of Molly and tries to get the bat off of Tom. And they're playing tug of war with this bat and Tom falls flat on his face. And now Jason is left with the bat. And Molly is free at this point and is afraid Jason's gonna go after her dad and unalive him. That's when Molly grabs a brick that happens to be laying on her bedside table and goes after Jason. Somehow, Tom ends up with the bat and goes after Jason too. At this point, both Tom and Molly are taking turns beating Jason. Tom with a bat and Molly with a brick. until they eventually unalive Jason. And they keep going until they decide Jason is no longer a threat. And they claim they stopped until Jason collapsed on the floor. And again, this is all allegedly. This is Tom and Molly's side of the story. Tom ends up calling the cops, and he tells the police how his daughter and her husband got into a fight and he intervened, and that Jason was in bad shape. The cops and ambulance arrived, but when they got there, they said the crime scene was so brutal that it didn't look like self-defense. It looked like an overkill. Jason was so badly injured that when the medics picked up his head, their fingers went right through his skull and into his brain. But wait, Tom and Molly claim they stopped attacking Jason when he was no longer a threat. But his skull was literally caved in, and it was the back of his skull, meaning he wasn't facing them while this attack was taking place. There was also a bloody handprint on the door, which could indicate Jason was trying to run. It's also important to mention that Jason's blood was already starting to dry, and that Jason was already naked and cold to the touch, meaning it took Tom and Molly hours to call the cops after Jason's death. Luckily, Jason and Sarah were asleep in the other room and had no idea all of this happened. They were removed from the home by officers. Meanwhile, Tom and Molly are claiming they killed Jason out of self-defense, but they didn't have any visible injuries, even though they claimed Jason attacked them. They were both taken into the police station for a statement, and Molly said Jason was heavily drinking that day, which is why he woke up so angry and became aggressive. But here's the thing, his toxicology report proved he didn't drink enough to be drunk. But what was really surprising is that there was trazodone in his system, which is an antidepressant that could be used as a tranquilizer. And he was overdosed with trazodone. And this medication, it was prescribed to Molly. Both Tom and Molly said they acted out of self-defense, and that Molly had been a victim of abuse for years. Even Jack and Sarah confirmed that their dad was abusive, so this made the claim of self-defense more possible. And for a while, Molly keeps the kids, but eventually they're taken back to Ireland with Jason's family. It's then that the kids say that they were coerced into saying their dad was abusive. Both Molly and Tom were arrested and charged for first-degree murder, and were sentenced to 20 to 25 years in prison on December 2015. But they appealed their sentence and claimed that there was a misconduct of justice, because a lot of people from the jury discussed the case outside of the courtroom, which is a big no-no. And in 2021, they won this appeal. They were both released out of jail on a $200,000 bond. So now they're free. And Jason's kids and family are still fighting for justice. There will be an upcoming trial, and I'm really interested to see what happens. But what do you guys think?